talked a little bit about this yesterday, but wanted to know more about basically how and why you spent time here before playing for the Jazz.
Yeah, I had our sports performance director for the Cavs when I first got there from Minnesota was actually, he had just come from the U.S. ski team up the road. And I had actually been here from about 2010 to 2013, a number of times after the season. I had a friend who had a place in Deer Valley, spent a lot of time here, loved it, was actually considering buying a place here. But once I met Alex Moore, who's a gentleman's name, he went from Red Bull, then he went to the U.S. ski team on the men's and women's side. It was amazing to work with. He was the first guy, I gravitated towards, and we hit it off, and then we just had this common thread of Park City. And then we ended up spending time here in Salt Lake City and southern Utah as well. And then just probably 4 or 5 weeks a summer from 2015 to 2018 out here.
Where would you go in southern Utah?
So we were we would go to Bryce Canyon. We would go to, we'd stop into Page, Arizona. We'd go to the Slot Canyons. We would go, just see all the Red Rocks. A lot of great, it's just so much different down there. You almost feel like you're on Mars with, just the aesthetics, the scenery. I know this area is very beautiful, and and speaking to Ryan, just up and coming, in Utah City, and I know Provo, and it's fun. It's a fun place.
And during that time, I feel like you were always on the top of the list of a lot of Jazz fans, great hopes. Did you ever hear any of that while you were here?
Yeah, I think when it was evident that my time could potentially be coming to an end in Minnesota, that a lot of those conversations had come up in the Western Conference, but also Eastern Conference. And then of course everybody waits in free agency until they see what LeBron James is doing, and everything kind of just fell into place and that summer and ended up in Cleveland. So
is every training camp day one different, or are there similarities?
A lot of similarities. I said today, I said it was the first time I'd ever seen, especially in the first week of training camp officiating, actually calling a defensive 3-second call. I'd never seen that before, and I was laughing. Just that this league, I was talking with Jet, who played 19 years, and I said, just when you think you've seen everything in this league, it'll either humble you or it'll show you something completely different that you just never expect. You can't make assumptions on this league. So, but great communication day one. It was great. Guys were loud. Guys were almost over communicating, which was a good thing. But then it's very similar in that, whether you're 18 years in or you're a rookie like Ace, everybody's just sped up. Everybody wants to. It's highly intentional, but the guys are just so sped up, and eventually, as time goes on, you slow it down a little bit, you start playing a little bit more within yourself, making the right reads, and you watch film, you work with player development, everything slows down for you.
Every young player has their bet that they talk about that shows in roles. A, who is yours? And B, how does that process work? Do you go and you single out a couple of young guys? Does somebody ask you to do it?
For me, it's just kind of a feel. I'd had especially in Cleveland after our finals runs, because we were such a veteran-led team. We, had guys like Colin Sexton and Darius Garland and just Isaac Okoro, younger players that had come, Evan Mobley, who had come in, who I'm still very much in contact with and have built relationships outside of basketball. But I think it's just a feel. It doesn't have to be top 5 picks like those guys were, right? It's just if I see somebody, I feel like I can help them, it'll haunt me if I don't say something, right? I feel like I need to say something because, the first part of your question, I didn't really have that veteran. Maybe Al Jefferson, but then we became a very young team. Moving in even to my 5th and 6th years, and with that I developed some really bad habits. It wasn't until I got to Cleveland that I had to clean a lot of those up and learn the hard way what that meant, and on top of that, what it meant to sacrifice for the greater good of the team. That was something that I had to grow out of a lot of things, had to go through it and have adversity and learn the hard way. But I'm grateful for those moments. But again, I think my value can, if it's not playing out there on the floor, it can be those type of moments for the younger guys. And at this point in my career, I look forward to that. I embrace it.
What kind of bad habits did you form?
Bad habits, I was selfish. I only knew, not to say it was all about me. And, like Coach K used to say around the Olympic team and the World Championship team, he's like, I don't want you to like leave your ego at home. I want you to bring it before for the team. I think USA Basketball also taught me what that meant too. But I think in Minnesota, it came to a point where I'm like, why? It taught me a lot about the league and that not everybody wants the same things, right? And some of that is leadership. I had to learn in Cleveland what it was to follow before I actually learned how to lead. And I was immature. Like I reached out to Ricky Rubio, who I know was here and was beloved by the fans and teammates and coaching. But, when he left or he left the NBA, I remember telling him, I was like, I wish one of my biggest regrets, and I talk about inaction a lot, being like tied up to regret so much, is that I wish I was a better teammate for him and other guys, but really for him because he really cared. Some guys want to just cash a check. Some guys aren't in it for the right reasons, and we've seen that, and statistics will tell you that happens within 450 players. But for somebody like him, using him as an example, I didn't have the presence of mind to understand what it meant to be a really good teammate. And I think he's one of those guys that taught me that, because he just, outwardly you could feel he radiated goodness, he radiated team, and he built guys up. So when he left, we had a great conversation about that. And again, I actually apologized, and I wanted to, again, like it haunted me that I had never said that. So just allowing him to hear that, it made me better, and it actually, in a way, held my own self accountable.
Your ties, I mean, being in the league that long, you're going to have ties like all over the league,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's just funny that you have your ties to Utah, and then there's Ricky, Colin Sexton, just different guys that have passed.
Yeah, Donovan, Joe Ingles, JC, yeah.
Colin's interesting.
I gotta have his jersey signed in my locker right now, by the way.
Collins?
That was in Miami, and it got sent, and I opened it up, and I just think it was funny. Like that's like Will and I were talking about. That's a great part about being a vet, is like eventually guys get to say like, he took care of me. That was my vet. Like that means something. Sorry.
No, I mean, I was just going to say, like, Colin is an interesting person, to say the least.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering what he was like when he was even younger and maybe even wilder somehow in Cleveland.
Yeah, and I think the it's funny. It's like, wild can be an ambiguous word for me. For in how it relates to him, he just like, for everything from like I'm still learning names, so you have to forgive me. One of our athletic trainers, she was saying like, he's the only guy I've ever had ask to needle the bottom of his feet. And I'm like, that just is so Colin. Like the most painful thing you could possibly ask for. And they were saying like in practice, he would, in games, he would always get a bloody lip or like a bloody mouth. They'd be like, where the fuck did that come from? And they'd be like, he's literally biting the inside of his mouth when he's playing. And those are the things that he did. Like he'd get so worked up. You remember Summer League, like one of his first games, he would just be so intense. And yeah, he's a very interesting guy, but the thing I love about him is, and some of the best piece of advice that I got was from Kevin McHale, and it was, chase the game, and everything you want in life will chase you right back. Like, be good to the game. The game has a certain karma to it, and I think a lot of people counted him out. He was a player that I don't even think was ranked his sophomore, junior year of high school, and to now, having been in the league several years, he's going to continue to have success, and he just almost I'm almost like, man, you got to find a balance between like working and taking care of your body. But he really goes after the game, and that I can appreciate. And I've found a mutual respect and love for his family as well, and just love how he chases it.
Is there a reason you mentioned the 2015 or 2018 period that you mentioned Tom a lot? Was there a reason after that it stopped?
I'd still been here a couple of times throughout. But it was not to train. It was more for leisure and, hiking, getting outdoor. Because, it's unfortunate that I'm going to be that 40-year-old like learning to ski. right? Like, because we're contractually obligated, and even Mark Eaton, like, God rest his soul, he, I remember him just, walking down Main Street, and he's like, oh, we got to get out there and ski. And he's like, I go, you can't. I'm like, what does it look like you being on skis? I'm just like, looking at him like, you get on ski? But he just, he just loved it. I think, and embracing that up there is very fun. But then the summer months, like my wife is from Vancouver, BC, so we spend a lot of time in Whistler. I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, so the Cascade Mountains, we would go down to Bend, we would go to Sisters, we'd go to Mount Bachelor, we'd go to Mount Hood. So all of those type of places are, kind of feel like home. So up there, it just, kind of brings the best out of me. So again, there's a little hiatus from training up there, but, not for lack of wanting to be up there and enjoying that, because it's without a doubt one of the best places in the U.S.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Cool.
Kevin.
Thanks.
Kevin, one of the funny stories about Colin, or a couple of things, is we were in Sacramento one time, and after a game, they'd been doing push-ups before they came back into the locker room, and they were doing 100 push-ups before they came back in, and Colin walks in talking to Lowry, and he's like, man, the worst part about doing 100 push-ups is that I lose count. It's not the 100 push-ups.
I would have thought you said he did like 500, because he has
And then
to.
also, I was asking him what he listens to pre-game, and I was asking all the guys on the team one day, and they're different music, right? And he was like, oh, I have to listen to meditation sounds because I get too amped up.
Yeah, no, he needs like acoustic or like,
He has to
no
put
words,
himself down, not amp himself
yeah,
up.
like white or brown noise.
Absolutely.
Honestly, he's the type of guy that, like, I feel like he's like, you know what, I'm gonna wind myself down, I'm gonna take a little bit of melatonin, I'm gonna make sure my magnesium's right, and I'm gonna listen to heavy metal and go to sleep.
Yeah.
He's that type of guy. He's one of one,
Yeah, he
but
is.
I love him. I get along with most people, and Colin is no different. So, okay, appreciate you guys. Thank you.